Hello, I wanted to take a few minutes and talk about different personalities. Um, a lot of people I've noticed on these videos are categorizing themselves solely into set personality types, and that's not entirely accurate because if you take these tests, you can see that not everyone is 100% introverted or 100% extroverted or 100% intuitive, 100% sensing, and so on down the list. We all have moments where we're either introverted or extroverted and we lean more toward one than the other, but we all exhibit characteristics of both at different times. So some people who identify as, say, myself, INFJ, other people might look at some characteristics that I have and say, oh, no, you're not INFJ. But in reality, I have most of my characteristics or moments where I really am INFJ, or actually borderline INFJ, INFP, because I tested 52% J and 48% P one time, and then another time I took the same exact test. I was maybe in a different mood or had something else going on in my life, and it was switched. Not far apart, but it was 52% P and 48% J. So, yeah, we don't all fit into set boxes where we all have a little bit of each characteristic in our life, or each personality. But I wanted to also talk kind of about what makes someone who's INFJ or INFP tick. And as with most NF personality types, one of the top things that drives us is compassion. So when we see injustices in the world or people committing injustices, whether real or perceived, against us, it can really set us off. Especially when we see that people, maybe they aren't actively committing those injustices, but they show no compassion toward people who are experiencing those injustices. That's something that that can really be offsetting. You learn to deal with it better as you age because you realize not everyone else is like you, and maybe they value order over compassion. So you have to learn to work together with those personality types as well. But you also tend to realize that you cannot have true order without compassion, because eventually people are going to realize, hey, the government or the world or this group of people is not treating my group of people compassionately, so we're going to riot or boycott or whatever. So, yeah. And there's the way that INFJs deal with their relationships is very different than the way people who aren't, especially people who aren't NF, deal with their relationships. In our workplace relationships, an INFJ or an INFP will feel the need to have some measure of meaning in their work or purpose. And that purpose is generally to help others. So any job really can be taken to mean you're helping others, but primarily it's you're doing charity work or healthcare, or you simply, in order to do well in your job, you have to find some meaning and purpose in it. So if you don't see purpose in your job or some kind of fulfilling meaning in your job, then you will feel lost. And you need, at that time, for your coworkers to help you see the meaning and the purpose in your work, and to help you fulfill that meaning and purpose. Because let's say when you start a job, you can see meaning and purpose in it, but as you work in that job, whether it's through company policies or coworker relationships, that meaning and that purpose isn't being fulfilled, you can also tend to feel lost. And you need the team to work together to try and restore that meaning and that purpose. And our friendships and our romantic relationships are very, very similar in that we want people to give of their time and their energy, not necessarily financial gifts or physical affection, but time and energy are very important because we have spent this energy spending time with you, so we want you to give it back. And when that effort isn't reciprocated, we can shut off and just distance ourselves from the relationship, especially if we've given them several chances. And we don't shut off right away, but our chances that we give them are not unlimited. So if you keep saying no and keep not reciprocating time spent or anything of that sort, then an INFJ or INFP will just cut the relationship off. And there is a way to win them back, but it takes time, and it takes admitting that you did something wrong, and it takes changing that. So you will have to have the time and the patience to show them that you have changed and that you are now willing to reciprocate in the relationship, and you are willing to be honest or not be abusive or whatever the infraction was. That's very, very important for restoring a relationship with an INFJ or INFP person. And sometimes I've noticed in somebody as people say that are INFJ say that they're very optimistic about the world, and I for one am a little bit different in that regard, probably because I was raised in an abusive home, and then when I went to school, I was bullied at school. Then when I went to work, I was told I was dumb, I was stupid at work, constantly. This isn't just like one-time thing. People said this time and time again. And then when I went to work as an English teacher in China, I was constantly lied to, and I know this is a cultural difference. In China, it's not seen as quite as severe as it is in the Western countries, but still, an INFJ, we really value honesty and being real with a person. So after that, then I came back home to America, and it's like people that I was friends with here didn't want to talk to me anymore, especially when my health became bad, and people were just like, yeah, I'm not going to help you. So I kind of stopped seeing the world as this great place full of potential, and it's like the world stopped reciprocating back, and the world was committing these infractions against me, or infractions against me, sorry. But it's not like when I meet somebody, I automatically assume they're going to be a terrible person. I'm just maybe less trusting than I was before. So it's hard to lose an INFJ personality type. They're usually very loyal, but once that loyalty or that trustworthiness is broken, then it's really, really hard to earn it back. But it's possible. It just takes effort. So yeah, that's what I have to say about INFJ. Bye.